Welcome to another insightful and exciting edition of Enterprise Chat at MSME Africa. I am your host, Nimi. This is where we do all the talking, business-related entrepreneurship across Africa and all over the globe. Today, we're having another conversation, and this is basically focused on effective employee relations and engagement for small and medium-sized business owners. This is quite important, and that's why we have somebody who is very much enlightened in this area. He'll be speaking with us today. Adeyemi Ajayi is a multivariate professional cutting across entrepreneurship, HR, risk management, and corporate governance. He's a consultant and an entrepreneur with a passion for people management, business growth, and career development. Adeyemi is a partner at Exitum Consulting Limited, and he has been recognized as top 150 global HR influencer and top 8 African thought leader in HR. Good to have you on the conversation this morning, Mr. Ajayi.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. Exitum Consulting Limited. You want to tell us more about that? And I see some of your feet here, top 150 global HR influencer, top 8 African thought leader in HR. You want to tell us more about that, just briefly?
Yeah, it's just recognition for passion at Exitum Consulting. We consulting firm. We focus on the large, medium, and small scale businesses. Practically supporting businesses to grow and to help them achieve sustainability, especially in the areas of human capital development. We provide HR solutions, tech solutions, business-related solutions, and people complexities in terms of managing them. Then, in terms of risk management, we help organizations design and implement their risk management framework, conduct risk assessment for organization and projects, as well as programs and initiatives. All is just to develop the business for them. And again, we are so much interested in the small scale businesses as well because of the potential they have, and we serve them in all these areas. Thank you.
All right, amazing. Thank you. Let's talk about our focus for today, really, employee relations and engagement for small, medium sized business owners. Basically, what exactly is this about?
Yeah, employee relations basically talks about the relationship between the business owners and employees. We have the employer's value proposition. We have the employees' value propositions. Now, it's a trade-off. And of course, there's a meeting point for these values. So employee relations largely talks about what the employer wants from the employee and what the employee wants from the employers and how they can balance each other's interests, for the mutual benefits that they both desire to achieve. Whereas employee engagement largely talks about how engaged, how productive, how valuable employees are within organization. And employee engagement, to a very large extent, it's defined by how much employees are committed to their job, they love their job, they want to do their job, they are passionate about their job. So again, it has to do with work environment. It has to do with the work culture. It has to do with the work itself. So all these are components of employee engagement.
Well, I think you've really touched on a bit of what I'm going to ask, but for the sake of clear understanding, I want to know why this in particular is important for every business organization, for every entrepreneur, and for every business owner.
Yeah, you see, most times for the small scale business owners, you just get to bring employees into the system, not even looking at the value proposition that those employees present to them. And again, it's of concern to people like us to begin to ask questions, what is the value index for an employee? Relative to the employer. Once that is defined and it's it's very clear and glaring. The next phase is to now look at the value exchange. So it's very important. There are three major resources every organization will have: the financial resource, physical resource, and the human resource. So the human resource.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
There are three major resources every organization should have or has: the financial resource, the physical resource, and the human resource. The human resource is the most dynamic, the most complex, the most valuable, the major determinant of organizational success. So it's very important.
Wow. Okay, so I think if we've spoken about all that we've talked about, it is important to look at, what are the strategies that should be adopted? What are the strategies that must go into play?
Okay, for employee engagements, first, one of the strategies is to have an excellent work culture. I have had clients that establish very fantastic work culture that is quite very attractive to the workforce, and the workforce are able to work well and deliver value, to the organization. So looking at it basically is for you to ask yourself that, does an organization have the work culture that would drive engagement? If it doesn't exist, engagement and relations cannot, find its fit there. Another strategy is also to look at the compensation strategy. Once you have a very right compensation, good employee welfare, I can tell you employee engagement is something that you will find very interesting in that environment. Another third strategy is to also have a very fantastic business model. Business model is the way the organizations do their business. If you create flexibility and also comfort for work for employees, you achieve a lot with your business model. Then organizations' core values, the behavioral competencies, all these are very important, in driving this engagement.
So I want to bring to our focus now the current realities in the economy. We all feel subsidy removal, issues with people are clamoring for an increase. As a matter of fact, the federal government is considering, reviewing the minimum wage. Right now, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, what do you think is the way forward? How can they incentivize their workers or employees?
Okay, let's copy the model of Kwara State. Kwara State has seen that if they keep asking employees to come to work for 5 days in a week, they're going to spend more on transport. So say, okay, you know what? Let's have staggered work days. While your pay still remains, we can have staggered work days to know the days you have to come to work in order to save costs. Another is to drive revenue. If you want to keep the status quo, you need to drive revenue. And of course, one of the measures that is very, very clear and imminent is increment in the wages, employees' salary. But again, the organization needs to look at its own cost relative to the value it can deliver. So it's a decision that comes with the battle of numbers.
Okay, so basically, I want to ask, so in terms of financial status of the organization now, how can small business owners manage their employee in terms of, remuneration and what have you?
Like I said, it's just to look at cutting down on resources and spending, okay? We need to be more prudent. I want to advise any small-scale business that please don't cut the salaries of your staff. Neither am I advising downsizing at this time.
But can they increase? But it will be hard to increase as well.
You see, the model is this. There are two things. Is either you are saving costs or you're making more money. And in economics, it's better to make more money than it is to create wealth than to say you want to be conservative. It makes economic sense. So what the businesses can do is to look at their numbers and say, okay, by what percentage can we increase employees' salaries and benefits, but also making employees to know that we have to work back for this money so that we can enjoy it. So
Oh well, so many ideas and thoughts that you have shared there, and looking at the whole economic realities right now, we can only hope that things get better. Because if you consider inflation at double digits, 22.22%, a whole lot of things happening in the economy is neither easy for the employers or the employee. Before we bring the conversation to a close, I don't know if there's one more thing you want to say to entrepreneurs. What is it, like your final words on the show today?
yeah, the entrepreneurs should remain resilient. In the meantime, in the next 7, 8 weeks, it's not going to be easy business-wise. But after that, we're going to catch the trajectory. The trajectory does not mean that some things, the prices will just go down like that. It's going to be a journey. So I would like to advise entrepreneurs to remain focused, remain resilient, and of course, watch their costs and drive more revenue. We need to spend more money.
All right, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. We really appreciate your time on the show. Thank you so much. Adeyemi Ajayi, he is a partner at Exitum Consulting Limited. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This is where we bring the conversation to a close. Thank you so much for joining. I am Aranimi, but don't forget you can connect with us on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MSME Africa. Until we see you on next edition of Enterprise Chat, goodbye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.